Hey there, what's going on? My name is Basir Payenda. Welcome to project 14 of 100 web project series. And in this video, we'll be creating this registration form from scratch using only HTML, CSS, and vanilla JavaScript. It has two tabs, one for sign in and next for sign up, that allows the user to either sign in or sign up through Google and Twitter, or they can type in their name manually, their email, and finally their password. And at the right far side, there is a button that allows the user to toggle between showing and hiding their password, like so. Now you can see the password is shown. And if I go back into sign in, notice when I click in there, the name slowly goes toward the top. And if I type something in there and click anywhere other than this input, you'll notice the color of this name, which the label and also the border of this input is going to change back to black, like so. And it's totally responsive and it looks decent in mobile screen as well. Alright, so without any further ado, let's dive right into it. I already have my code data opened in here, created the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files and linked them together just to save some time. I'm going to start writing the markup of the registration form. First, I'm going to stack them side by side. Everything is going to be wrapped within this registration form. And within this registration form, there's going to be a header and similarly a body, and within the header there's going to be a button with the class of button and button-tab, and within that I'm going to type in sign in, and similarly this is going to be for sign up. And within this body I'm going to write everything that concerns with the content of the sign in and sign up. So one for sign in and similarly one for sign up. There we go. So within the sign in there's going to be an H1 with the content of sign into your account. So I'm just going to paste it right here. H1 sign into your account. Then there's a P tag with the class of gray. And within that, I'm going to type in sign in to access to all free resources there. And after that, we have two utility classes with the class of flex and justify between to push them in the opposite direction, right and left. And within that there is a button, the class of button, auth, and therein I'm going to use font awesome. So I just head into cdnjs.com, search for font awesome and get this link from here and paste it all the way up until there, just like that. And now back into the document, I'm going to use this inside this button, i.fab, B stands for brand, .fa-google. And right here I'm gonna say sign in with Google. There we go. And then I'm just gonna duplicate this line again. This is gonna be for Twitter, and just make sure the spelling is correct, and this is Twitter. There we go. So now if I just save it, and then we have this or with that bar right there, it's gonna be just a simple div with the class of. We're gonna write this or using the pseudo elements. Alright, then we have this form that goes nowhere, and there's this input group. Within that there's going to be an input with a type of text and a class of input-element. There we go. So I'm not going to write anything for the name, but for the ID it's just going to be name, and right here for the label it's going to be just name and name. There we go. So we created successfully the name for that, and let's write the password. And now in the state of text, this is password, and then the state of ID right here, this name, I'm going to change that to password. Yeah, password. There we go, and change this to password as well. At the right side, you see this icon, so I'm going to add that to fa-I. Actually, it's I-slash. There we go. And right at the bottom, I'm going to wrap this checkbox and remember password with an agreements class. It's going to be input with a type of checkbox and the ID of remember_password. There we go. And then right here there's going to be a label for remember_password and remember password. And also you can notice the styling of this one right here, and these are pretty much identical, so I'm going to add this class of gray to this as well. So we are done up until this point. Then for the sign in button, there's going to be a button, and it's going to have a class of button, button-register. There we go, sign in. And then below that there is this registration link, and that goes nowhere and says that forgot your password. And at the end there is this question mark. There we go. So we are done up until this point with the content of sign in. Now for the sign up, you can notice that the content of sign in and sign up, they are pretty much identical, except there are some difference in the header and a little bit in the body and the inputs. I'm just gonna straighten this up a little bit. Okay, so first I'm gonna just copy everything right here and duplicate it down below. Let me get rid of this from here. Okay, so this one was for sign in, so I'm gonna collapse that, and this is for sign up. Okay, so the H1 is just register there, so I'm just gonna copy and paste it there, and then some content that's gonna encourage the user to sign up to their account. It could be anything. And then instead of sign in with Google, we have sign up with Google, and instead of name, we have one more input tag right here, that this is going to be for the email, and the name, instead of that, now it is email, and the label is email as well. There we go, this is the password. And then instead of remember password, now we have what's the text, agree to our conditions, agree to our conditions. And instead of rem pass, I'm gonna say that as terms. Okay, similarly instead of sign in, it is sign up. Get rid of this text right here, save it, and then run this in live server. Well, this is how it is all gonna look. We have the sign in content and the sign up content. Now we're gonna style it a little bit, and it's gonna look really decent and nice. Alright, so back into style.css. First, let me make sure I linked it together. Yeah, so in style.css, first I'm gonna get this open source font, search for open source and select the regular and the light ones, font weight of 300 and 400, and then click on import and grab everything from there and then paste it right there. Now font family of open source is installed in here. I'm gonna shrink it back to its normal size, and then back in here in the document, I'm gonna first select everything, the before and the after. So it's some initial configuration. Get rid of the box sizing, set it to border box to include the padding and border of an element to its total width and height. Then for the body, it's gonna have a font family of open source, and a fallback font family. I'm gonna choose sans serif for that. Now you can see the fonts are changed, and then I'm gonna display this as flex. Justify content to the center and align items to the center. Now they are in the center. Then this minimum height of 100 vertical height, so now they are right in the center, both vertically and horizontally. Alright, down below in here, just to help for some code reading, I'm gonna comment this out, and let me first actually duplicate it here. There we go. And right at the top in here, this is gonna be for global stylings. So global styles are gonna go here, and then there are the colors, just gonna go right there, and then followed by that, we're gonna have the registration form. So I'm just gonna paste it there, and well, we'll go slowly rename them as we are going along. Okay, so before that, I just want to work with the content of sign in, and the content of sign up will work with that later. So right here, I'm gonna say sign up, and then display this as none. Okay, display this as none. There we go. So now in the global styling, I'm gonna first start with the overall container of this registration form. So right here, if you remember from the markup, it was registration form right here that wrapped everything within that. So there is this registration form, and it's gonna have a width of like 600 pixels, and then a border of 1 pixel solid CCC there. Now you can see it already started to appear right there, and then a box shadow. Well, in fact, I already come up with this box shadow for registration form, so I'm just gonna copy and paste it to save some time, and we don't have to go again and again how did I figure that box shadow. Okay, so this is it. And if you remember, within this registration form, we had a header and also a body, so I'm gonna write styling for those. And before that, for the body, nothing fancy. It's just gonna have a padding of like 2 rem from top and bottom and maybe 1 rem from left and right. Now you can see it looks a little bit nicer. And for the sign in and sign up, well, the way I'm gonna style it is that I'll go from the top and go gradually toward the bottom. Okay, so I'll have to bounce between all of these stylings back and forth, so I hope that's not inconvenient. Okay, for sign in and sign up, as I said, here's the header within this registration form. I'm gonna display that as flex. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna just add it right here and there as well. Okay, so the header is displayed as flex and that is the button. So I'm gonna just copy this out, and right here I'm gonna write all the stylings that are gonna be concerned with the button. So first of all, the overall common styling is that I'm gonna add 0.5 rem and 1 rem for all the buttons. They are not gonna have any border, and similarly they are not gonna have any outline there. So set that to none. And if you go back to index.html, you'll notice that this is called button tab. Okay, so button dash tab right there. It's gonna have a padding of like 2 rem and 1 rem from left and right, and it's gonna have a width of 50%, so it's gonna take the half of that, and then a font size of like 1.25 rem, so it's just a little bit bigger. And then for button tab, when it is active, okay, so when it's active, I want it to essentially have a border top of that blue color there. So again, I'll have to refer back to here and copy these variables. So I'm just gonna copy and paste it right here. So the variable of primary color will set to this one right here. So it allows us a lot of flexibility, so we can change the color of that in the future with just altering this one line of code. And similarly for the input height. Now I'm gonna go all the way down up until here and say that border top, it is like 3 pixels solid, and from the variable it is primary color. There we go. And now into index.html, if I add the class of active for the sign in, notice what's gonna happen. There we go. You notice that the border top is being added to that, and similarly the background color of that is going to be like totally white. And now if I refer back to the demo, you can see that the sign in and this one, they look pretty much identical. Alright, now for the registration form, I'm gonna text align all of those in the center, and now it's time for this H1 right here. So for the H1, this is going to be in the global styles, which I'm gonna write that right here. It's gonna have a font weight of like 300. It's gonna be very light, and then it's gonna have a color. I'm gonna choose 343434, not kind of only black color, it's kind of blackish color, and then override into default margin for that 0.5 rem and 0. And then if you remember back into index.html, for this one we added the class of gray, so that's going to be a color for that. So right here in the colors, I'm going to add this color of gray right here. So it's not a good practice to write gray, that's why I will go with the hexadecimal or RGB like that. So now you can see, let's bump this up a little bit to some darker color. Okay, so now that looks better. In the registration form, I'm gonna bump up the font size to all of them to like 1.25 rem. Now you can see it's a little bit bigger there. Okay, now it looks better. All right, back to the top here, we added this font weight of 300 in global styles. These are some utility classes. This is gonna be displayed as flex right here. And then for justify between, dash between, if I just go back into index.html, you'll notice that we added these two utility classes of justify between and flex right there. So it's going to be justify content to space between, so they are pushed in the opposite direction toward left and right. Okay, why? Let's add a border 1 pixel solid red to see where is that actually. Well, display flex is working fine there. Justify content to, actually this is justify between. Yeah, well, this is justify between. Let me actually just copy and then back into style.css, paste it right here. I think, yeah, well, I don't know. That was weird. So this is it. So I'll go again all the way in the button section right here, all the way down and back into index.html. You'll notice that we call this as button-oauth. Okay, so I'm gonna call this as button-oauth, there, and that this is gonna have a padding of like 0.775 rem and 1 rem from left and right, maybe 1.5 rem. There we go. And bump up the font size to 1.25 rem, and then change its color. So I want this color to be kind of muted color, like 888 right there, or maybe let's choose a little bit darker color. Okay, so this is it. This is how it is gonna look, and from the demo you can see the color of the Google and Twitter. They are colorized. Again, I'm gonna choose these two colors, and then actually going all the way up until here inside the colors, I'm gonna just paste it down below. Now you can see the color of the Google and Twitter are changed. And now back into OAuth here, I'm gonna add this border radius of like maybe 5 pixels. It's gonna have a background color of white. There we go. And since its background color is white, again, I'm just gonna copy this box shadow and paste it right here. The code for all of these are available in the description section below, so you can just grab these box shadow and so forth from the GitHub repository. All right. I also noticed that I need to add this margin bottom here, like maybe at least 1.5 rem, so there is a little bit room between sign in and the rest of it. Okay, so this looks a little bit nicer and kind of similar to this one. Yeah, except that right here, if I add a little bit of more padding toward left and right, so this is gonna look identical to that one. Then there is this bar right here with the or in the middle. Okay, so in the registration form, all the way up until here, I'm gonna write that bar position relative. So this position that's relative, and again, it's gonna have a margin of like 2.5 rem and 0 from top and bottom, and then a border top, excuse me, border top, 1 pixel solid, and CCC. There we go. And then right here, border with B4 pseudo element, and its content. Sorry guys, I can't type. So then there is this or, and it's gonna have a position of absolute, and then it's gonna transform and then translate to -50% toward the top. There we go. Just save it like that. Now you can see it is at the middle. It sounds like it is in the middle. Anyway, let's just add a padding 0, 1 rem from left and right, and obviously you're gonna add this left to 50% there, and then actually I'm gonna get rid of that and add this -50% here with a comma followed by that. And also let's add a background color of white for it, so it looks exactly the same as we see in the demo. And if you feel like it's still not in the center, you're welcome to change this and bump this up to 52 or maybe 53, 54, 55, whatever it looks like is in the center. So we are done up until this point. Okay, so back into the document, then we have these input elements, and now right at the bottom in here, I'm gonna say that input elements right there, and then here we have this input dash group there. It's gonna have a margin of like 1 rem from top and bottom. If I just go back into index.html, because I believe it's not easy to keep everything in mind, so this input and the label, they are wrapped within this input group class. And similarly, if you notice, this input has a class of input element. Okay, so keep that in mind as we are going forward. Then this input group is also going to be positioned as relative. There we go. And that is going to have a height. It's going to be from the variable _input height. If I just go all the way up until here, you can notice that at the root section, we defined the variable input height to 55 pixels. Now all the way to the bottom. And then for the input group, then we have this input dash element, which is that input with a type of text there. And then I'm going to position this as absolute. From the top, that is 0. And then from the left, that is 0. And that is also going to have a width of like 100%. And then a height of 100%. So there it is. This is how it is going to look. Then a border of 1 pixel solid CCC right here. Add a border radius for that, maybe like 5 pixels. And there it is. Now time for the label. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy this out from there and there. Just for the label, again, it's gonna be positioned as absolute. From the top, that is 50%, like that, and then transform and translate y to -50%. So now it's in the center, and from the left, 1 rem There we go. It's gonna have a padding of like 0.5 rem, 0. And for this one, padding 1.5 rem here. There we go, 0. And then also bump up its font size to 1.25 rem. I'm gonna override the font size that it had already. And now this is it. This is how it is all gonna look. Okay, I also noticed that outline. I'm gonna set this to be none. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of this one actually, or swap their places. Okay, so this is it. Now from the demo, you can see when I click that, it's just slowly gonna go toward the top. And to add that effect, it's gonna be fairly simple. Just grab this one from there, and then right here, I'm gonna say on focus. Okay, and just grab its immediate label element and say that from the top, it's gonna be 0. And now if I click that, you can see that it goes toward the top. It's going very suddenly toward the top, so I'm gonna add a transition right here for all 0.3 seconds is in and out. Now if I click that, you can see that it slowly goes toward the top. Maybe it's a little bit more, I'll go with 2 seconds, 0.2 seconds. And then also change this background color, change this to be white. And also the color of that, the color of it is going to be from the variable, and then it is primary color. Okay, and when this is focused, okay, I want to change this border to 2 pixels solid, again from the variable of primary color. There we go. Now if I click on that, you can instantly see that it's exactly what we were looking for. Okay, and there is one more thing. I want to disable this auto suggestion and also add a padding right here. Excuse me, placeholder. So I'm gonna just save this out though. Let me actually maximize this. Okay, so right here, I'm gonna set the placeholder to nothing. I'll tell you guys why I need this placeholder of nothing in here. So there is a reason behind that. And obviously I want this autocomplete to be set to off. There we go, just copy that out and then paste it down below right here. And similarly for the rest of it, where I can find them. Not this one. Yep, there we go. For all of these input elements there. We did it. Now let's just put it back to its position. Now in the document, actually here. Okay, so now if I just type in something like here, something like my name, and then if I click elsewhere, you can see that it's not in the upside direction. So in order to make that stick toward the top, I'm just gonna copy this line of code again, and then right here I'm gonna say not colon placeholder shown. That essentially means that if placeholder is not in there, that means that something is already typed in there. So I'm just gonna copy these lines of code and paste it right here. And there is H888 right here. Again, that kind of grayish color, now you can see, is toward the top right here. But as I click and type in something, the color is still gray. It's a matter of cascading a style sheet because CSS is applying the styles in cascading style. So now if I type in, you see the color of name is changed, and if I click anywhere other than that, you can see the color is still right there. I'm gonna go make it a little bit darker, more than that. Alright, save it, and now this is it. Similarly for the password, you can type in and this looks pretty nice. Now let's add that eye icon here. So right back into here. Actually, I always forget this thing here, registration form. There we go. And then in style.css, again for the eye, I'm gonna just grab it and add this position of absolute to that. And that again from the top, that is 50%. And transform translate y to minus 50%, so it's dead center. And why is that not showing up? Is it index of 10 maybe here? Did I even added it? Yeah, there it is, but I forgot to add the class of I for that. And similarly for this one here, add the class of I for that, and then back into style.css all the way up until here. Now you can see it is being shown, and from the right it's like 1 rem, and now you can see it is exactly in there what we are expecting. So then the color of that is gonna be just actually 888 like that, and then when I hover over that, then the color is going to be changed to primary color. There we go. And let's add this cursor of pointer as well, so the user knows that it's clickable. Now you can see that we added that I as well into there. So far up until this point, you can notice that everything in the sign in content looks pretty much identical to this one. Now let's fix this remember password thing as well. Okay, for the class of agreements, and then if I go back into index.html, you'll notice that they are wrapped within this agreement class. So this is the agreements, and that this is going to be displayed as flicks. There we go. And then align items to the center, so they are right in the center like that. And then back into the top in the global styling, for the input that has the type of checkbox right here, the checkbox, there we go, it's gonna have a margin right of like 1 rem there. So if I just add it there, it's gonna look like that, and transform and scale it to 1.5, so it's a little bit bigger than its original and default styling. Now if I click that, there we go, this is how it is all gonna look. And all the way up until here, I'm gonna also add a margin of like 1 rem and 0 from top and bottom. And now it's time for styling this sign in button here. So that's a register button. I'm gonna go back right here inside these buttons part here. Then this is button dash register. First of all, it's gonna have a width of 100%. It's gonna have a height. It has this variable of input height. Okay, and then it's gonna have this background color again from the variable primary. Why it is not showing? Yeah, there we go. Primary color, and the color of the text is white, and the font size of that 1.5 rem. There we go. And also for the border dash radius is 5 pixels, and then, well, this is it. And then button dash register, when I hover over that, I want to change this background color to some kind of, let me choose blue, or actually, you know what, I'm gonna go way down up until here, and then down back to here. I'm gonna just paste it there, and instead change this color to be like this. Okay, so there we go. Now if I hover over that, this is how it is gonna look. Actually, I'm gonna just cut this off from here and say variable primary color dash hover, like that, save it, and then right at the top I'm gonna duplicate it though, and then this is for the hover, and replace it with this one. There we go. Now if I just hover over that, yeah, this just to make it a little bit more dynamic. And now we did it up until this point. Now time for styling this forgot your password thing there. So that's again gonna go into the global styles right here. So a text decoration, I'm gonna get rid of that ugly text decoration, set it to none, and when I hover over that, I want that text decoration of underline there. Okay, and then back into index.html, you will instantly notice, where is it, rig link, registration link. So I'm gonna go all the way down in here and paste it there. Now it's gonna have this color from the variable. Again, it's gonna be this primary color right here. It's gonna have a margin of maybe 1.5 rem top and bottom, and it's not accepting it because we haven't yet added display of inline block to it. Inline dash block, there we go. So now it looks really nice. Maybe we need to increase the margin bottom to 1 rem or 0.5 rem. Well, yeah, that's it. If I just go back to the demo, you can see that they both look identical, except that there are some small changes right here. Okay, and now time for styling this sign up. Okay, so you remember that we set the display none for the sign up. Now I'm gonna set this back to sign in, and now sign in is displayed to none, and this is for the sign up. Well, everything is fixed right here because those had similar stylings. Alright, now time for the JavaScript to make it actually work, and if I click that, so the respective tab content is gonna show up. You can see it is date links here. Now they're not working. So first I'm gonna get rid of that, and then back into here. Now you can see both are shown, so by default they shouldn't be shown. So where is the, yep, there it is. So right here, I'm gonna go with the content is initially going to be displayed as none, but the content, when it has the class of active, this should be displayed as block. It means that we're gonna show it as displayed as block. And maybe move this up a little bit from here, cut this off and paste it right there. So this is the nice place for it. Okay, so now you can see it is not being shown because we haven't yet added that active class to it as of now. Okay, so this is the active class for the sign in, and similarly like here I'm gonna add that class of active. Now you can see sign in is being shown. Now for the JavaScript, I need to somehow tell the JavaScript that on clicking of this one target something. So how do I use that? I'm gonna use data target tab, this equal to # sign in, and similarly just copy this out and paste it right here. And then again this is going to be for sign up. Okay, make sure to add this # at the beginning of it as well. So this data dash, it's an attribute that allows the developer to add their own attribute, in this case target tab. You'll find it nowhere, neither in the documentation nor in Google. It's just something I added, and it's just for storing extra information for an HTML element. Okay, so back into script.js, I'm going to grab all of those tab underscore buttons. That's essentially equal to document.querySelectorAll, and then that is .button dash tab, or you can use that data dash target dash tab there. Okay, so there it is. And now right here I'm going to say tab buttons dot for each of those button, run this function, add event listener on click, and that on click is gonna just add a class of active to it. Class list dot toggle class of active. There we go. Now if I click sign up, you can see that the class of active is added to both of those. Now the problem with that is open clicking sign up or sign in, the active class should be gone from all of those previous buttons. So that's fairly simple. Just get all the tab buttons dot for each again, and again for the button I'm going to run this function dot class list dot remove the class of active. Now if I click sign up and sign in, now one of those are active at a time. And then right here document.querySelector, then that is button.dataset.target tab with camel case. If you're wondering where is this target tab coming from, so essentially that is this target tab right here, but instead of dash we're gonna write it in camel case form. Again .ClassList.add the class of active, and similarly copy this out from there. And first I'm gonna grab all the contents, and this tab underscore contents, and that's document.querySelectorAll right here. And then it's going to be registration form followed by the content. So wherever the content is, and then just right here instead of tab buttons, I'm going to replace it with tab contents. Now if I click sign up, you see that the content of sign up is shown, and similarly if I click sign in, that the content of sign in is being shown. Alright, so it works pretty fine. We are done up until this point, and now it's time to add this ripple effect right here. Okay, so that's fairly simple. I covered that in my previous video in project number 13. I covered that in great detail, but again in here I'm going to write it from scratch, so don't worry. It's going to be for ripple effect, that's triple P, never mind. Then constant of ripple underscore buttons, that's equal to document.querySelectorAll right here, and then here button dash ripple. Yeah, okay, so I think I didn't add this. And if I go back into index.html, you'll notice that I didn't add that. And then I'm going to add this button-ripple, which I mean that this button is going to accept that ripple effect. Okay, so button ripple is added to both of these sign in and sign up. Now I can play with it. Okay, actually I'm going to just copy all of those from there and then just replace it with that and get rid of everything from here. There we go. So now ripple buttons dot for each, looping over every single one of that, and then tracking the click event. Now in here I'm gonna go get all the x coordinate, that's e dot client x here, make sure to add e right there, and then let y coordinate, that's e dot client y right there. Actually I just remember that you can do it that way, instead use e here, and then down below here we have the button position top, that's equal to e.target.offset top there, and let button position underscore bottom that's equal to e.target.offset left. This is not a bottom, excuse me for that, it's actually left. And then to pinpoint exactly where in the button I clicked, we need x and y coordinates there. So the way we're going to do that is actually we are subtracting the position of the x coordinate from the button's position left there. So just paste it there and then duplicate. It's going to be for the y, and then y coordinate, and then button position top, copy and paste. Okay, there we go. Actually constant of span right here, and then I'm going to create a span. You see that this ripple effect is nothing but a span added with an animation that's going to grow from width of 0 to a fixed width like 500 or 300 pixels. Okay, so document.create element. Again, I'm creating the class of span dot class list dot add the class of ripple here. We haven't added it yet, but we'll be adding it real quick. Okay, and then set time out here in span of maybe like 400 milliseconds. I'm gonna just say that this dot remove child, the class of span there. Okay, well, I didn't set the top and bottom position of it. Well, span.style.top, that's equal to, using this template literals here, y pixels, and again just duplicate it down below. This is for the left, and instead of y pixels now it is x pixels. There we go. Then this dot append child and adding that span right there. Now you can see this is a little bit of code added for that little nice ripple effect. And back into style.css all the way to the bottom right here, I'm gonna add this ripple effect right here. We haven't added that ripple class. Okay, so what is this ripple class? If you remember, we created this span and added the class of ripple. We positioned it from the top and left, but we haven't yet added this class of ripple. So that's what I'm gonna do. It's gonna have position of absolute to accept that top and left position there. And it's gonna have a background color. Sometimes image is not working. RGBA and 0.5 there. And also I'm gonna add an animation, call that as ripple animate, and a span of like 0.4 second, ease out. And then adding that animation here, that's this ripple animate, is ripple animate there, from width of 0 pixels and the height of 0 pixels. It's gonna go to width of like 300 pixels and then a height of 300 pixels, and the opacity of that is gonna be set to 0. So now if I click that, you can see this is how it is all gonna look. Well, that is a little bit weird. Let's just add this transform and then translate -50% and -50%. And so make it like a circle. I'm gonna add this border radius of 50% there, and then right at the top here, button dash ripple. I forgot to add this position of relative to it, so this ripple right here is gonna be positioned absolute to this button ripple. Again, in index.html, the button ripple is actually these two tab buttons there. Okay, and then set the overflow to heading right here. Click that. Yeah, well, that's because it's translate only. Yeah, there we go. We added it successfully. And similarly, exactly as the one we have in the demo, now in the registration form, we added that ripple effect. All right. So now as the final step, we need to deal with this showing and hiding the password. And back into script.js, again, I'm gonna say show and hide the password. So if you remember from index.html, we added the class of I for all of those. You can see that there. So I'm gonna first grab all those I buttons there. So it's gonna be rig_eyes, this equal to document.querySelectorAll. Yep, there we go. And the class of I. There it is. Now registration eyes dot for each of those I. I'm gonna run this function I dot add event listener on click. It's gonna run this function right here. Okay, when I'm clicking on this I, it has to show the content of the password right here. If I click on that, what you can see from the demo. Okay, so first we need to grab this password input. As you can see, it is the second previous element. The previous element and the second previous element of that is this input with a type of password. So in order to get that password field, anyways, I.previous element sibling, there are a bunch of ways to select the second previous element, so I'll go with a simpler one. And then I'm gonna say if password field dot type is equal to password, then right here I'm gonna set password field dot set attribute, changes type back to text. And then in else section, again, password field dot set attribute, set is type to password again. Okay, now this should work. And now if I click on that, type in something and click on it, now you can see it's just toggling between showing and hiding that. And as the final step, we also need to actually change the icon of that too. So for that, it's going to be i.classlist.replace the class of fa-i-slash. If you remember from the markup, it was fai slash. So we are going to actually replace that with fa-i. Let's just duplicate it, copy down below, and then right here again, it's going to be replaced with fa-i-slash. There it is. Now if I type in something and click on that, now you can see it's the I icon, and if I click that back, you can see that there's no I icon. So now just save it, and let me just maximize this to see if there is anything left. There we go. Well, everything sounds perfectly fine. Yeah, so there it is. Yeah, if you want to get rid of the text selection from there, it's fairly simple. All you have to do is to find the label. Yeah, so here we go, and then user-select, set this to none. Okay, and now if I just get rid of these again, and now notice when I click on name, you can see that it's not going toward the top. When I click here, it just goes toward the top. And to do that, I'm gonna add one line of code again, pointer event set this to none. So in that case, it's not gonna show any interaction when we are clicking on that. Okay, so you click on that, now you can see it is working. But if you just comment that out and save it, now if you click on that, it's not working. But with that, if I just save it again and click it again, now you can see it slowly and gradually goes toward the top. All right, so I don't think there is anything left. Yeah, for the responsive design of this, also need to add some styling for the responsive design. Add media, screen, and well, I'm gonna go with the simpler one, 768 pixels. So that essentially means that any size that's less than 768 pixels. First, the registration form. Make sure to add a width of like 340 pixels. You're welcome to decrease and increase it. And then you can see that these sign in, these buttons or buttons are kind of glued to each other, but what we want is like that. So right here, I'm gonna get that class of flex from there and say flex direction and set this to column. Now if I save that, now you can see this is how it is gonna look. And similarly for the button dash or auth, I'm gonna actually add a margin bottom for this. It's gonna be like 0.5 rem, and now you can see there is a little bit of margin between them. And I also believe that there is a lot of padding for the tab button. So button dash tab here, I'm gonna decrease its padding to 1.5 rem and 1 rem maybe. And now if I click on that, it looks better. Maybe just if I just stick with 1 rem, it's gonna be a little bit nicer. Okay, so that is it. And yeah, there are a little bit less or more styling about the font size of this register H1 and so forth. If you want to change the height of this, you're welcome to do that, but I think this looks pretty nice. Let me check it once again. Yeah. Alright, so that was it for this video, friends. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, turn on the bell notification, and I will see you guys in the next one. Happy New Year!